Good evening and welcome to Route 29 Corridor Study Public Meeting. I am Nandita Paradkar, Transportation Planner with Fairfax County Department of Transportation, and I will be your facilitator this evening. This is the first of the two public meetings that will be held during the course of this study. We anticipate having our second round of engagement in summer of this year. The intent of today's meeting is to go over the purpose of Route 29 Corridor Study, existing and future baseline travel conditions, discuss the recently held survey results, and how your involvement will be incorporated now and in the next steps of the study. As such, we want to hear any comments you have. At the conclusion of the presentation, we will share how to provide feedback through the survey that is currently active and also through other channels. Before we begin the meeting, I would like to review some guidelines so everyone can participate and get the most out of this meeting. Please note that this session is being recorded and it will be shared on the project website. We will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. The chat feature is enabled. You may choose to type your questions into the chat, either at the end of the presentation, or you may submit your questions along the way during the presentation, which will be addressed after the presentation. You may also choose to raise your hand and speak to ask a question after the presentation. For people calling into the meeting, we will provide instructions for how to ask your questions at the conclusion of the presentation. We also encourage you to submit your written comments to the online survey or on our project website or to the email address that will be provided at the end of the presentation. Now I'd like to welcome Supervisor Walkinshaw from Braddock District to open up the meeting with brief remarks. Supervisor Walkinshaw.
Sure, thank you. Well, I'll be very brief because I'm looking forward to the presentation, but I just want to thank everyone for participating tonight. I'm really excited about this study. I know we have folks on the call tonight who live in this corridor, and the easiest way to describe Route 29 through this corridor is kind of a mess. And this study is our opportunity to develop a much better vision for this stretch of Route 29. And I'm really excited about the opportunity for the community to participate in that process. We had really great response to the survey. I think we had more than 300 responses to the survey. So really great participation from the surrounding community. And we have some other exciting things taking place in this corner of Fairfax County, this corner of Braddock District. For those of you who live in the corridor, you may have heard that we're going to be moving forward, hopefully this year, with a redeveloped corner of Route 29 and Waples Mill, where the public storage site is. They're going to be expanding their facility with a new modern building, but most importantly, they're going to be cleaning up that corner, tearing down the dilapidated house that's there, removing the service drive that attracts kind of wrecked cars and broken down cars, and improving the streetscaping and sidewalk there. But the best part is they're going to be building at their cost a new dog park that will be open to the entire community and that they'll maintain in perpetuity. We're also in the midst of two separate planning processes, separate but related planning processes. One is our revisioning of the Government Center campus itself to come up with a long-term vision for the Government Center complex. And my hope for that is that we develop a vision that makes the Government Center complex a real community space with perhaps a public plaza where people can gather and we can have farmers markets and have better activity and opportunities for the community to enjoy the Government Center property. So that process is going to be taking place over the course of this year. Concurrently with that, we have the final phase 3 of the Fairfax Center small plan area study, where we're going to be looking at that core area around the Government Center, Fairfax Corner, and the Fair Oaks Mall to develop a long-term vision for that part of the area. So there's a lot happening, but getting this Route 29 corridor study right is really key to all of that. So I want to thank the team who's on here tonight, and to all the community members who have participated in the survey and are going to participate in the process moving forward. Thank you all.
Thank you, Supervisor Walkinshaw. I would also like to recognize Marcia Pape from Supervisor Walkinshaw's office and Peyton Ongs from Supervisor Herity's office from Springfield District. Now I'd like to introduce our presenter tonight, Arpita Chatterjee, who's our project manager. We have other staff here from Fairfax County Department of Transportation, Mike Garcia, Transportation Planning Section Chief, and Tom Burke and Maggie Chi, our team leads. We are also supported by our consultants, Jacobs. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Arpita and we'll get started. Arpita?
Thank you, Nandita. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the first public meeting for Route 29 Corridor Study. My name is Arpita Chatterjee from Fairfax County Department of Transportation, and I'm leading the effort from the county side. So the agenda for today's presentation is, in this presentation, we plan to provide an overview of the background and purpose of the study, the analysis approach we use to conduct the study, give an update on the survey results, provide an overview of the existing conditions analysis and future baseline conditions, and discuss the next steps and schedule. Background and purpose. The map here on the slide is actually from the comprehensive plan. As you can see, the area marked in pink is the study corridor. And the circles here indicate planned interchanges. So there are planned interchanges at Vaples Mill Road, Shirley Gate Road, Monument Drive, Legato Drive, and West Oaks Road. And hence, in this study, we want to reassess the long-term needs of the corridor and develop solutions that serve residents and commuters. We would like to evaluate the need of the planned interchanges, assess the options for maintaining future safety, mobility, and accessibility for both non-motorized and motorized transportation users, explore multimodal potential for the Route 29 corridor, possible bed and bike facilities, and future transit routes and stops. Our analysis approach is first we started establishing preliminary goals and objectives to help conduct the study. We completed the existing conditions analysis to assess and evaluate the roadway conditions, bed and bike facilities, and safety along the corridor, which I will be going over in detail in the next few slides. We then evaluated future travel conditions, with 2045 being our horizon year. Our future year analysis consists of a baseline scenario that doesn't include interchanges and that will reveal how the intersections perform without any interchanges. Some of the improvements without the need for interchanges would include alternate intersections, improved lane utilization, pavement markings, signage, amongst others. With community input and feedback, we plan to develop long-term recommendations. Some of the measures that we are looking at to evaluate improvement strategies include intersection delays, queuing, volume capacity ratios, bicycle level of traffic stress, and pedestrian level of comfort. So this is our study limit for the Route 29 corridor. It starts from Buckleys Gate Drive, Summit Drive, and it goes up to Jermantown Road, Rust Road. This is about a 2-mile stretch with 10 intersections, of which 9 are signalized and 1 unsignalized. Now we'll give you a brief overview of the survey results. The survey was a part of the study, part of outreach effort to get public input and feedback. Comments and survey responses have been taken starting from February 12th, but this presentation includes the feedback received through March 1st. There are 370 participants, of which we have 1,293 views, 2,459 individual responses, and 448 comments. Excuse me, did somebody interrupt?
It's okay, keep going.
Okay. Thank you. So this is the general statistics, and we'd like to share the results. We used the survey to receive public feedback on the existing travel patterns, the facilities and preferences for modes, amongst other things. Here is a brief overview of the responses that we received as part of the survey. For the question on the frequency of using Route 29, results indicate that most of the respondents travel along Route 29 multiple times per week or daily here. And this is the number of respondents that you see on top of the bar. That actually indicates a number. And of respondents, primary reason for using Route 29 is to run errands, and secondly, to commute to work and school. For the trip mode used, around 75% of respondents, that is around 234 respondents, chose to drive along Route 29. And we see that around 21% choose to use more than one mode. We would like to explore ways to increase this number so that people don't need to depend only on driving. When asked about the frequency of walking or biking along the segment, we see that more than 70% of the respondents do not walk or bike along Route 29. And we would like to explore ways to increase the number of people walking and biking on the corridor. Hence, our next question is, what would encourage walking and biking along the corridor? We see that more than 50% of the respondents mentioned that the need for safer ped and bike facilities, and some also mentioned the need of continuous ped bike facilities. Comments here indicate greater separation from traffic and easier access from the residents. Dedicated bike path and access from Fairfax City neighborhoods. Continuous sidewalks on both sides of Route 29. Here are some of the top concerns that was actually highlighted in the open-ended questions where citizens had the ability, the respondents had the ability to sit and write down their concerns. We've just summarized the concerns and as they stand here today. As you can see here, most of the concerns are lack of continuous sidewalk and shared use path, the need for wider sidewalks and paths, and better separation between sidewalk and roadway. Our top intersection concerns are long delays when making left turn, and this is mainly for the Route 29 corridor itself, because the green time given to the through movement along the corridor is very long. As a result, the left turn movements that wants to access the side streets, the waiting time and the delay for them is higher. And that's the concern that's been cited out here. Short turning lanes at Shirley Gate, Wablesman Road intersection, and Walmart intersection with severe vehicle pedestrian conflict. There's a lot of conflict seen at that intersection, vehicle pedestrian conflict. And with this, we conclude the section on the survey results, and now we move to our existing conditions analysis. In the next few slides, we will be talking about existing ped and bike network assessment, intersection vehicular delays, and overview of the crash data. So we start with an assessment of the pedestrian network in the study area. So the assessment of the pedestrian network is done by analyzing the pedestrian level of comfort, PLOC, we call it. PLOC is an approach to understanding the relative comfort levels of sidewalks, shared use paths, pathways, and crossings. Pedestrian level of comfort is assessed by roadway speed, pathway width, and buffers. So you can see PLOC 1 is most comfortable and PLOC 4 is least comfortable. The chart on here indicates the level of comfort and the associated color, which will determine what level of comfort the Route 29 study corridor falls within. And we've done our best to divide the corridor into different levels of comfort, and you can see it in the following slide. Green indicates comfortable, yellow is satisfactory, orange gold is uncomfortable. So applying the PLOC assessment to the study corridor, and we have the corridor split up in two graphics. We start from here at this point, and our assessment indicates that only one crossing at one intersection, Federalist Way, received the highest PLOC score of 1. Very comfortable, that is this one. And many of the intersection crossings, controlled and uncontrolled, along the corridor were unmarked and therefore received PLOC of 5, the lowest comfort ranking. Also, intersections that include the service road present a unique challenge for creating safe, direct, and efficient crossings for pedestrians and cyclists and require a context-sensitive approach to facilitating design and connectivity. We look for ways to get to a PLOC 1 or 2. That's our target. Like assessment of the pedestrian network, we do an assessment of the bicycle network also. And the bicycle network assessment is done by understanding or studying the bicycle level of traffic stress. The level of traffic stress, the scale of 1 to 4, is a measure for assessing the quality of the roadway network for its comfort with various bicycle users. The lower the LTS score, the more inviting the bicycle facility is for more users. We try to aim again for a BLTS of 1 or 2. An assessment of the bicycle conditions indicate that the 1.7-mile shared use path indicated by this green line on the north side of Route 29 between Legato Road and Stevenson Drive is the only infrastructure supporting bicyclists along the corridor study area. Shared use path in this section is often not wide enough to be considered a shared use path. We need an 8-foot minimum shared use path under constrained conditions. Here, the usable width is always reduced to 7 feet or even less. Actually, it varies from 3 feet to 9 feet. And this is due to the overgrowth of plantings with frequency along the shared use path. So we notice that there is a general lack of attractiveness to bicyclists, lack of meaningful connectivity to destinations, lighting or wayfinding for users, minimal user attractiveness due to lack of comfort and amenities. Here is a look at some of the shared use path facilities. Existing roadway width and posted speed limit, opportunities for comfortable and safe travel for people walking and biking. Maintenance of existing facilities and infrastructure along the corridor study area appears inconsistent. There is no consistent sidewalk on the corridor. In locations that do not have sidewalks, there are walking paths, indicating the need for sidewalk infrastructure. There are some sidewalks across service roads that are present, but are not contiguous connections and require pedestrians to intersect with service road traffic. Here are some crosswalks. Given the long distances between signalized intersections, there are limited crossing opportunities for pedestrians and bicyclists. The huge cross-section of Route 29 without a safe median refuge island are factors that inhibit safe crossing. So with this, we conclude the current ped and bike section of existing condition, assessment of ped and bike section of existing conditions, and we now move on to vehicular conditions. Here is an overview of the current intersection performance of the existing year. Intersection performance is measured by vehicular delay as shown in this table. When delay exceeds 80 seconds, it is an indication of severe traffic congestion. The target is to reduce the delay to lower than 80 seconds. Our analysis results indicate that for most of the intersections, the overall vehicular delay is less. That is, it is between 10 to 25 seconds, the overall level vehicular delay, with the exception of the intersection of Waples Mill Road and Jermantown Road, these two intersections. The green boxes show the delays at the approach level for Waples Mill Road and Jermantown Road for both AM and PM. We also see that there is congestion on northbound and southbound Waples Mill Road, Shirley Gate Road, as well as on Jermantown Road and Rust Road. We also gathered 5-year crash data to get an understanding of the safety issues affecting the study corridor. So there's some hotspot identification. Route 29 at Jermantown Road and at Waples Mill Road were identified as hotspots. As you can see, there are 48 incidences at Route 29 at Waples Mill Road and 47 at Route 29 and Jermantown Road, the highest amongst all the listed intersections. Fatal crashes were recorded. 2 of them were recorded, one at Waples Mill intersection and the other at Forum Drive. So this is an overview of our safety analysis, and with this we conclude the existing conditions analysis, and we will now go over to our future baseline analysis. Our future baseline analysis is an analysis done without interchanges, and our horizon here is 2045. This slide again has a high-level overview of 2045 intersection operations for morning and evening rush hour. The 3 graphics here show the intersection delays for 3 AM and PM rush hours. The graphic at the middle is actually the peak hour, AM 7:30 to 8:30, PM 4:45 to 5:45. But we also wanted to get an understanding of intersection operations 1 hour before and after the peak rush hour. That is 1 hour before and 1 hour after the peak rush hour. And we did this so that we don't mitigate considering just the peak hour. We would like to mitigate also for non-peak hour traffic. And that is why we have these shoulder hours here. So we can see that the three intersections, 8, 9, 10 in the east, including the unsignalized intersection, perform with higher delays. These three intersections. They have more queuing, but the rest of the intersections in green perform well and they overall show lower delays. Particularly the intersection number 3 and 6, planned for interchanges, are performing well without the need for an interchange. And in our next slide, we will discuss about these intersections in a little more detail. We would like to show you the intersection performance at the movement and approach level for the intersections that are planned for interchanges in the future. We had mentioned earlier in the presentation that one of the objectives of the study is to reassess the need of the planned interchanges. Interchanges would be deemed necessary if intersections are not able to function efficiently with the current configuration. Here, we observe that the intersection of Legato Road as well as Monument Drive do not experience delays. Even side streets do not experience significant delays. However, the intersection of Wavels Mill Road, Shirley Gate Road shows significant delay. Overall intersection delay is over 100 seconds and side street delay is even higher. With that said, we will investigate what mitigation would be possible to get the intersection of Wavels Mill and Shirley Gate Road to operate more efficiently, similar or at least close to Legato Road and Monument Drive. As our next step, we will be looking at improvement strategies along with improving the side street delay for other intersections. Outside of the study, the current comprehensive plan recommendation for pedestrian improvement include pedestrian-oriented streetscape and landscape buffers near Wavelsman Road. Further landscape buffering is recommended between Government Center and West Docks Road. Removal of asphalt service drive is recommended along Route 29 in favor of additional landscaping. Active transportation improvements include slip lane refuge median islands, pedestrian countdown signals, lead pedestrian interval at heavy pedestrian areas, high visibility crosswalks. We noticed that the crosswalks don't have proper crossing symbols in them. Pedestrian hybrid beacons at key mid-block crossing locations and advanced warning signs. So here, I'd like to go over our next step and schedule. We've seen what our future baseline 2045 shows. So we will observe and get into all the details to see where there are deficiencies in the baseline scenario. We will identify the deficiencies and then we'll work on coming about with some improvement strategies to address these deficiencies. We will apply the improvement strategies to address the deficiencies and we'll see the results. And with all that, we will come back to y'all for a second round of public meeting around early summer 2024. We will get your input and feedback and then come about with final recommendations. This is our schedule. This is the schedule box. In this, we discuss the existing conditions, future baseline survey, and we have the first round of public meeting. The next step is to identify mitigation measures, apply them, and see the results and share with the public around early summer 2024 as to what the results show after applying the mitigation strategies. We take your feedback and then we come with a final report and recommendation. Feedback, okay. We have good news for you. You can still take the survey that is currently active and provide your feedback. The survey will be open till March 29th. You could also call this number 703-890-5898, code 3941, to leave a message with your feedback. You could also go to our study website for more information. You can reach out to me if you have any questions at the email address that is listed here. Now, questions and comments. Nandita will take the questions and comments. Please feel free to write your questions in the chat box, and Nandita will then share them with the team. Thank you all.
Thanks, Arpita. Now we are going to turn to the question and answer session. If you're on your computer and you wish to speak, please raise your hand that you can see on the top bar of the team screen. If you'd prefer to type your questions into the chat, please do so and I will read them out. If you're on your phone, you can push *5 to raise your hand. When we call on you using the last 4 digits from your phone, you can start speaking and ask your question. When you finish, please push *6 and then *5 to lower your hand. Recording of tonight's meeting will be posted on our project website in the next few days, along with the question and answers. And I see a hand raised here.
Douglas Stewart, your
Douglas
hand,
Stewart, yeah, please go ahead with your question.
Your microphone is on. You can unmute yourself to talk. I can't unmute people, so if it's not working, let us know and we'll do something different. Just type it in the chat if you're unable to speak.
Arpita, can you help Doug unmute himself?
Yes. I think I've unmuted Doug. Hello.
All right, I'll fix it. One moment.
Yes, I've unmuted him.
I'll fix it. Doug, you should be able to unmute yourself now. Give it another try.
How about now?
Perfect.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience. My name is Douglas Stewart. I actually live right at the intersection. I live in Fairfax City, right at the eastern edge of this study area near Jermantown Road. And I'm very pleased and I'm glad that you are looking at revisiting these improvements and not taking out interchanges. That's a good step forward. I guess my question, I like the recommendations a lot for pedestrian and bicycle safety improvements and things like pedestrian refuge islands, better landscaping, things that might calm traffic and make it safer to cross these streets and walk and bicycle along them. And I guess my comment would be, if when you release the final recommendations and incorporate this into the area plan and the comprehensive plan, I would just hope that there could be some lower hanging fruit and shorter order improvements that you could implement. As just one example, the intersection on Germantown Road and 29 is unsafe for walking. It's just kind of dog-legged and awkward, and the sight lines aren't good. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but there is also some lower hanging fruit, like improving lighting and also striping crosswalks to make them a little more visible, that could be done now. And I hope there could be some incremental changes that you could put in place, and not, because I know that improvements can take a long time. But there are things that you could probably do much sooner that would make this area safer. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments and feedback, Doug.
I do not see any questions in the chat. Do we have any more questions? I don't see any hands raised for further questions.
Would you guys mind going back to the slide with the survey information and just remind folks how they can send in their feedback? Thanks.
The survey is currently active and it'll be open till the end of this month, March 29. And we encourage you all to take the survey. There are some open-ended and some close-ended questions. And your feedback would really help us better understand the needs of the corridor and recommend improvement strategies that would be beneficial for all roadway users. I see Regina here typing a question. All right, thank you. I don't see any more questions or comments coming through chat or over the phone. So I think we will end the meeting here. Thank you all for your participation.